talk about hours of service, which is very important, especially for a truck driver like myself, who's over the road. So every week, every 7 days, we're total driving time we're allowed to drive is for the amount of 70 hours. We can't exceed that 70 hours. And that 70 hours total clock also include our on-duty time. On duty, such as doing inspection on the vehicle before you start driving, and then inspection after you're done driving for the day. Also, for fueling the vehicle, that is also called on duty. Also, when you're at the shipper or receiver, sometime if you have to be out there while they're unloading all the valuable items, and if you're present at that point, while being vigilant, or your presence is requested, that could be considered on duty time. So you have to be very mindful of your 70-hour clock when you're performing a duty for the day. You could be driving 8-10 hours. Just before I get to that, so each day you're allowed to drive maximum of 11 hours, a total on duty time of 14 hours. So 11 hours of driving time allowed per day, but 3 hours on top of that is given just for being on duty. So total, if you start your clock, you can only be able to work for like 3 hours on duty and 11 hours of driving. That 14 hours also has to, usually, so anyways, on duty, off duty, those are some of the important factors that I have to abide by every day. And so today particularly, I want to talk about particular hours of service issue that I come across not very often, but this one in particular I want to discuss about, because what happened was I was delayed by the shipper by about 12 hours. I got there, I think at least, I got there on time, let's say 5-10 minutes before time. So in the trucking world, especially by my company standard, they tell me being on time is actually late, and being an hour to 2 hours before, being too early, is actually being on time. That's the standard my company goes by. So but regardless, I got there on time, and they made me sit there for like almost 12 hours of waiting. And so I already started my driving clock. So here's the thing. Remember, I was going over the rule about once you start your shift for the day, you're only allowed 11 hours of driving and 3 hours on duty. So once you start the clock, it keeps on rolling. You can't stop it. Once clock started rolling, thankfully, I used about 2 to 3 hours of my drive time to get to the shipper. So after I got to the shipper, I had like about roughly less than 11 hours. I would say less than 12 hours, more than 11 hours. So because the shipper held me for about 12 hours almost, I got lucky, because that gave me enough window to reset my clock and get moving again. But regardless, so once I did that, I was trying to get to the receiver on time, and I did get there on time. The appointment time was around 1600 military time, which is about 4 p.m. I got there at 12 p.m., which is 1200 military time. And so I got there 4 hours early. Guess what? They delayed me by another 10 hours. The most vexing part about this job, just get delayed, because like I said, you have 70 hours in your total weekly allotted time that you could drive and being on duty and everything else. Now, if somehow that clock is like, you know, I mean, I'm following like a rule of 8 hours to 9 hours per day driving, you know, and the rest is on duty and off duty, whatever. So that on duty, off duty rhythm of every day that I follow, it's just shattered the moment a receiver delays me for that long. So for example, to make up for the delay, sometime, even though I don't usually drive at night, some nights I have to drive at nighttime just to cover that, because my 10-hour reset happens right at midnight, and for me to be efficient with my time, I have to run.
You have 2 unread messages.
Thank you, Karen. Sorry. Yeah, I call my Qualcomm voice message Karen, so so yeah, I've been dealing with that setback for a while, and it really ruins your like inner clock, like, you know, the time you feel like going to sleep versus the time you feel like staying awake. It throws you off, and it's not the most pleasant feeling, man. Like in those days, because your rhythm is not how you're always used to, the kind of rhythm, the time, and the the regular daily routine that you follow. I'm not your typical, a person who typically follows a routine. I'm just saying, but I do like to follow certain set time frame. Let's just say that. For example, I'm okay with I'm flexible with my time. However, I'll also say, for the sake of more accurateness, that I take this job very seriously, which is why I did not get myself a TV or a flat screen, or a laptop or an iPad. Only thing I have is this device that I'm recording with, which is my iPhone, and because all of those are distractions, and for me to follow my clock precisely every day and be ready for next day, because you're only making money when you're moving. And if I'm not moving, I'm not making any money. And I'm out here sacrificing my time to not be able to see my family members and my friends, not so I waste my time watching stuff that's just not helping me in the long run. Don't get me wrong, I check my social media and Facebook, whatever, whenever I have the time, but I limit myself to a point where I don't allot more than 30 minutes, and within that 30 minutes I give myself another 30 minutes or 45 minutes to eat, and then another thing, I've been trying not to eat before I go to sleep, because I've been told that's when you teach your body to start storing fats from everything you eat, because your metabolism slows down when you're eating. When you're sleeping, your metabolism slows down. So it's best you practice eating when you're active throughout the day, and when you go to sleep, don't eat anything if possible. Going back to my topic of hours of service. So, since last I made the video, I was looking really, I'm pretty sure you guys noticed, my beard was really grown, and it was like it was not clean shaven, and that was I was on that load at that time when I made that video. But today, this is almost 2 days after, and I haven't had the time to take shower. I have been just using cleaning pads, this dude wipes, and like, you know, and my, what do you call it? I use these a lot. Clorox wipes, you know, and you know, it gets really uncomfortable at times because I had to constantly run. You know, and if I did not get there on time, I might not have like a, you know, good earning for the week. And you always have to be constantly on the move, and that's another thing I hope a lot of people out there, you know, appreciates for all the truckers. You know, it's not just it's not just that these truckers are like out there and like you know, driving big vehicle to show off, you know, or whatever the picture that majority of the trucker paints in, you know, individuals who are not aware of what the trucking world is like. You know, I mean, majority of the truckers that are over the road, they're sacrificing their time and their family time to be out here to, you know, make little more than what your average salary guy would make. However, I will say one thing. I'm not a company driver. The company drivers have some benefits, not really that much. This is still one of the riskiest jobs. So the amount of pay truckers make, you know, it's high up there. It's high up there as one of the top blue collar jobs. You could say that. But the risk factors that when you're always out on the road, you put yourself on, you know, like earlier today, I had 2 incidents. I had 2 trucks. Yeah, I kid you not. These are not 4-wheelers. These are professional truck drivers. You're supposed to expect professionalism from these guys. But I had 1 truck, well, no, 2 of them. One, first of all, just cut me off right before an exit. I'm not even taking that exit. He's only like 0.3, 0.2 miles away. He cut me off, goes in front of me, and then starts slowing down, start hard braking. What does that tell you? Like, dude, like, you're supposed to be a professional driver. You're acting like you're driving like 4-wheeler. So that tells you, you know, not all truck drivers are perfect. You know, I understand why some people get pissed at truck drivers because some of them can be an a-hole, you know, and I can attest to that. But that being said, majority of the truck drivers that's been in the business of trucking, you know, they do sacrifice a lot to do this. And since I've been doing this for the last 7 months, almost approaching 8 now, I can attest to that. It's just sometimes this is tough. Like, I would say mentally, this is even tougher because I'm away by myself. I don't have anybody to talk to, you know, aside from my social media, of course. But I take the time to, you know, talk to my friends. I made a WhatsApp group. I talk to everyone over there, share my thoughts, you know, checking up on them as well, because majority of them are just like me, over the road truckers. And some of them shares their stories with when they have a family time and what they're doing. You know, it's always like that human element needs to be there. You know, like at the end of the day, we're all social creatures. You know, I feel like being social is good for your mental health. So, okay, I think I went on rant again. So I'm gonna go back to my hours of service. So since then, you know, let me check for you guys. So tonight, when it resets, I get back 10 hours, well, no, 11 hours and 18 minutes. And so once that reset is done, I get another, tomorrow midnight, I get back 3 hours and 18 minutes. And then, because, see, excuse me, each load has different timeline. You know, they don't give me or assign a load to me from a shipper to receiver based off what time I have. Not all the time. It most of the time it's based off what's available in the market. And if it just so happens there's a load available for the time, and it's the closest to me and it's offered to me, I have the choice to decline it. But here's the thing: if I decline it, I get 2 more choices for the day, and those 2 choices might not be as good as this one or worse. You know, it's not always going to be better. However, if I'm past that 3 choices as a lease operator, which is what I am known as, or my title is as a lease operator. I'm not an owner-op because I don't own the truck. I'm leasing the truck, but performing like an owner-operator, if that makes sense. So if I pass up those 3 choices for the day, I have to wait a whole day. And waiting a whole day meaning I just wasted 1 whole day of the week doing nothing. I still have to pay for this truck, you know, every day, every minute counts. So that's another thing. So it always puts me on the, I wouldn't say putting me on the edge, but it always keeps me worried, I would say. Keeps me worried if I have not covered that day worth the cost for the truck. And then there are other costs, you know, fuel cost. And then my takeaway home. And my takeaway home doesn't just end there, you know. I have to worry about the taxes. I have to take away the 25 to 30% of my earning to pay toward the taxes. So, you know, it all comes down to how I manage my time. And from there on, if I'm not having a good week, you know, it definitely overlaps everything else. If I'm not having a good week, it could happen because of an incident that took place in the road, you know.
2,000 years later.
So yeah, you have to take into account of all those things, and at the end of the day, you know, that's part of the adventure, you know. Yeah. Even though I face so many issues and things that I have to deal with on a daily basis, it doesn't dampen my spirit in the long run. That's more important than anything else. And you know, knowing full well what Murphy's Law says, what can go wrong will go wrong. You just gotta expect the worst, you know, instead of being reactive. If you're proactive, it helps a lot with the process. But yeah, it's trucking can be lonely at times, you know, but I got my WhatsApp group that keeps me around. It keeps me on top of things, and also I check the Facebook here and there. I got a couple of groups on Facebook that I follow, and I get a lot of information from them, ranting, commenting, negative or positive. But you know, it helps. Then they got a lot of other channels that on Facebook, of course. Channel meaning groups. So yeah, I get a lot of different perspective from other drivers, watching, reading Facebook groups. You know, aside from that, I still feel like watching TV after a day's end is a waste of your time. I either watch YouTube channel of other YouTubers like myself and get more information, or like, you know, I feel like I also watch some financial channels like Graham Stephan, some other channels like Valuetainment. Time to time I hit up health nerds, you know, or Dr. Eric Berg's channel for like good, you know, healthy choice advice. You know, I feel like keeping yourself proactive is definitely the way to go. You know, like look up different topics. You know, I don't just get all caught up with just the trucking industry. You know, like life before this trucking was definitely different. And so the one thing I learned in my lifetime is that you gotta keep a fresh perspective. You know, you don't want to be too caught up in one thing that you lose sight of other things, you know, other things around you. So striking a balance is very important. That's all I'm just trying to say. Well, thank you for letting me vent, guys. I appreciate you guys checking out my channel. Thank you so much. So please stay posted. I will be uploading more videos in the future. Please leave me a comment, subscribe,